Hi, welcome to Exploring the Illusion of Free Will. My name is George Ortega. I'm here with my co-host Enel, or my guest Enel. Good to see you. So, all right. This is episode 130, okay? So that means, we're taping this on Tuesday, June 25th, 2013. We've been doing this for well over 2 years. And the title of this episode is Have Free Will Belief Invites Guilt. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And because, you got to understand, guilt is not a pleasant emotion. I mean, it's not conscience. In other words, conscience is good. It's good, to understand right from wrong. That's what conscience is about. Guilt is bad. Guilt is I did something wrong. Not only do I recognize I did something wrong, but I'm going to blame myself for it and make myself feel bad. That's not good because, it's not really necessary. All right, so in this show, we're going to, explain why free will belief, invites this unnecessary negative emotion, how we can overcome it. All right, before we do, as we always do when we do these shows, we're going to start out by defining what we mean when some people say that they have a free will. Nell, you want to take this?
Thank you for having me. It's so great being here because this topic is so important. I'll start with the definition. Free will, as the dictionaries have defined, is the ability for human beings to make decisions 100% free of all prior causes and or divine intervention. Look it up.
Okay.
Merriam-Webster.
100% free, okay, of any kind of intervention, of all interventions. Now, Causes, right.
Prior causes.
Right. And, I'll even
influences. Right.
I'll even go that one step further. It's more than just 100%. In other words, if there was 1% influence that was contributing to what
I mean, you make the decision 100% free of.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
You're floating above your genetics and conditioning. Totally nutty and crazy idea.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know who thinks they have it. I have yet to meet anyone with any real intelligence that actually believes in free will.
Right. And before we get to
except
this
for my brother.
Yeah, because
but he starts to laugh when he talks to me. He doesn't.
No, I know. And that's one of the huge, amazing mysteries of life. We're not dumb people. We know how to think in general.
It's all conditioning, hedonic imperative.
No, but I'm saying there's so many people with PhDs that are they're
you
not.
Can't blame them. They were born that way.
I know, but how could you be so smart to be able, for example, to perform surgery or to create rockets or computers and stuff and not get this? That's the mystery.
I just told you they were raised a certain way with certain parents. They idolized their parents. I mean, come on.
All right, I don't know.
Culture.
Culture. Yeah. Well, all right. Explains it, but it's still you would think that a person's intellectual integrity.
You wrote here. Oh, that's on the next episode. But if you can't choose your parents, you can't choose your country, you can't choose your language, you can't choose your culture. If you're very, very smart and you grow up in a culture of everyone believing free will, you're going to believe in free will.
You're going to believe. I hear you.
Social thing.
And I don't blame them. I can't blame anyone. You can't blame people for not believing, for not understanding that free will is impossible. I know.
They were born that way.
They were born like that.
They're genetically predisposed to believe in the crazy, nutty, terrible, toxic belief of the nonsense of the belief in free will.
Oh, God, yeah.
Free will.
It's there's no more crazy belief than free will because, that's believing that stuff is really
malicious,
up to us.
Toxic belief.
It's insidious. It is because,
you did that to me on your own free will. I can't think of anything worse to say to someone.
I know, and then people take it to the extent that, not only did you do this of your own free will, but you're so heinous because of it, you deserve to live the entire rest of eternity, mind you, that's a long time, in complete
the fiery pits
suffering.
Of hell.
Yes! That's insane. That's the most hateful belief possible that can only be...
And if you don't believe in free will, you go to hell too, because you're not following Jesus and God.
And that incidentally is why some very smart people...
Emotional blackmail.
Yeah, that's why people don't get this. I'm not going to take the chance. How about if I'm wrong? All right, whatever. All right.
By the way, don't hate us for not believing in free will. We were just born that way.
Right. And if you do hate us, we're not going to blame you because, it's not up to you. Okay.
You're responsible, but I won't blame you.
So, all right. So
I can fear you, but I won't hate you.
We're segueing right into why this is so important. We've been talking about it.
By the way, every time we add some humor, I think it's better for the... why is it so important? The belief in free will, don't make me laugh, the belief in free will encompasses every other belief. If you have another belief, like the moon is round, or like another belief, like whatever it is, that's not a freely willed belief because... Free will is the mother of all beliefs that encompasses like an umbrella everything else about human life. jobs, law, dating, crime and punishment, school, credit, how you feel about yourself, jealousy, guilt, resentment, envy, how you judge yourself against other people. It's the mother of all beliefs. I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah, all right. So another way of explaining it, our world, our governments, our religions, our, institutions.
Religion, hell.
Founded. Yeah, they're founded on this belief that, perhaps not everything is up to us, but a lot is up to us.
No matter what you do in life, the belief in free will is touching it.
Yes.
No matter whatever you say or do, if you believe in free will, it's part of your conversational tone. That's the words I was looking.
Absolutely.
If I had a free will, I would have been able to explain this even better than I just did, right?
I know, but here's the thing. All right,
it's not rehearsed.
Under the free will belief, this couldn't be more basic. It addresses the fundamental nature of human will, of why we do things, of what's causing us to do things. If our entire world, especially the leadership and the institutions, believe that stuff is up to us, fundamentally up to us, when absolutely nothing is, can't you see how important that is to the history of our civilization? We were just talking
creating a whole new species.
Yeah, it's a whole new consciousness. This is evolution in progress. In other words, evolution is usually physiological. We'll develop fingers out.
This is a consciousness evolution.
Exactly. This is a paradigm shift in human consciousness. Couldn't be bigger. And we're not the only ones saying this, right?
I hope not.
No, John Searle, 13th most cited philosopher.
Einstein said this. We stop with Searle?
Einstein said, no, because all right, Einstein believed...
Sam Harris says this.
All right, Einstein believed...
Richard Orton says this.
Yes, Einstein believed that we don't have a free will.
Jonathan Pierce.
I know, but these guys are... Einstein and Steve Hawking understands we don't have a free will. A lot of guys...
Let's talk about how we've been wrong before with Copernicus, Galileo, and your boy Columbus finding out the world wasn't flat. What'd you say about slavery to me off camera? That was good too. And the twist off cap, those are very good examples.
All right, so in other words, so people are asking, all right, why... why now?
Yes.
In other words, this has been the debate for hundreds of years,
thousands of years.
And so, the point, for example, with flipped, those flip-off tops, whatever, the twist-off tops on bottles. All right.
Yeah, it used to be that horrible metal thing that could cut your finger
you used
open.
No, I'm talking about bottles. You used to have a can opener, a bottle opener.
But soda also used to just come in. You have to. Okay. Anyway,
well, that's it, right. So, these are all right. So when you think about it in hindsight. This is really obvious. Instead of needing a bottle opener to open a bottle, you just twist it off. You just design.
And why were roller skates always four wheels until 1982 when they became rollerblades?
Exactly. Another perfect example.
Yeah.
All right. And another thing with slavery, you had hundreds of years, perhaps several thousands of years. People say, oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with slavery. It's, completely fine, whatever. All of a sudden, people get it. People get that slavery is horrible. It's completely immoral. It's just horrible. So this is what's happening, with this free will thing. They should have gotten it hundreds of years ago. They didn't, but we're getting it now. The time, every idea has its time, and
right.
The time for free will to fall has come.
Different minds for different times.
Yes.
Internet, baby. That's what I'm blaming, crediting it to.
All right.
All kids growing up now have born with the internet, wireless internet.
Yes.
We didn't have that. And without the internet, we wouldn't have found each other. I wouldn't have researched everything and saw how crazy these free will guys are. YouTube. I got to tell you, there's more and more videos coming on YouTube every day not believing in free will.
We're going to do a show on this. In other words, part of this shift, part of this revolution that's happening is this could not probably have happened without the internet, okay? The internet allows people like us who are just actually leading this revolution, which is kind of cool. It's not up to us. We've got to be completely humble about this. But before the internet, and also before cable TV, because these cable stations are 30 years, whatever, 40?
I think without the internet, it wouldn't have happened. Cable TV, how would people find each other? I mean, you have the illusion, exploring the illusion of free will meetup, and that's how we met, and that just wouldn't have been. So I think before there were people not believing free will, they couldn't find each other.
That's it.
YouTube, you got video after video on quantum mechanics and philosophy and causality, and all these videos are very easy to Google and watch, and you can learn all you want.
Right, and this is.
And don't forget, kids are being raised with the internet, iPad. They're all going to get it.
Yeah,
one thought brings the other one.
If you're 10, 15 years old, you don't get confused by this nonsense that the philosophers say a lot.
No.
You have
Let me tell you about a conversation I had with a philosopher once. I told him, free will, it can't exist because everything has to have a cause. And he says, what does cause mean? And then I said, it makes things happen. And then he says, what does happen mean? And I said, so something gets created. What does create mean? I mean, this is the kind of nonsense gibberish.
I hear you.
Every time I say something, they tell me to define it more and more.
I know. You
can't get anywhere.
You could ask him, what does what mean? I know.
I mean, regular people like us would just tell you, very simple, we don't have to screw everything up the way these guys do.
And the guy...
I mean, Deepak Chopra, you can't even follow what... Daniel Dennett's book is a horror. I can't, and I'm in medicine. I shouldn't give away my...
No, you tell him.
I mean, I can't figure out what he's saying. He's saying this free will has evolved over time.
That's insane.
Like the Neanderthal man didn't have free will, but the Cro-Magnon man, and I mean...
That's completely insane.
And then he changes the definition. Anyway, this is how...
That's like saying, his evolution
No, but they throw in
theory,
big words, too. You got to have a dictionary thesaurus.
His evolution theory is like saying, well, babies, little infants don't have free will, but as they get older, they get a free will.
Completely really? When would that start, and how would that start?
Exactly.
So if you have a child, suddenly and out of nowhere, like a certain age, they get free will, how would you even know which is a free will decision?
I know. We got to get... If we had a free will, it would be more on topic, all right? But that's all right.
But I get very excited about this topic because it's so important.
It is.
And so harmful.
All right. So I want to. This is like our commercial. Like people have to understand how big this is. And if you don't believe us, believe this guy John Searle, who's the 13th most cited philosopher born after 1900 in the entire world. Okay, number 13. Okay, that's big. He says for free will to be shown to be an illusion, as we're doing, as the world is finally understanding, would be a bigger revolution in our thinking than Einstein or Copernicus or Newton, Isaac Newton, who established all this stuff, or Galileo or Darwin, who came up with evolution. It would alter our whole conception of our relation with the universe. That's why this is so big.
It's bigger than religion. It's bigger than the Bible, Old or New Testament. It's the biggest thing ever.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine 100 years from now if nobody believes in the nonsense of free will?
Oh,
a whole different society would be created, a whole different way you view criminals. I mean, people are going to be born that way, not believing in free will, and sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
I think we need to start investing in a no free will society right now.
All right.
Don't you agree?
I agree.
It's like investing in the horse and buggy when the car was invented. It's just not going to, or investing in candles when the light bulb was invented. Investing now in free will society is crazy. It's not going in that direction.
Insane. I know. And all right, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into
now a lot of things have to be figured out. We're not up to that, but we just want to get clear. There's no free will. How you punish someone? I mean, you want to rehabilitate them.
That'll be next step.
You don't really want to punish anybody.
In other words, once everybody's on board with this, once everybody's on board, then we create a brand new world. But not everybody's on board.
We don't have to get to that yet.
We're at the second step, right?
Yeah, that's the first step. We're at the first step.
Right. So actually, step
by step.
Right. Before we explain why free will creates unnecessary, painful, hurtful guilt, let's just go through a brief explanation of why this principle of causality, that everything has to have a cause, makes free will completely and absolutely impossible. And Al, you want to lead us on this? Or?
Which number is this?
This is number 2. I just have causality.
Look, cause and effect rules everything, okay? The cause always has to come first.
Yes.
What's so funny? If he had a free will, he would...
I'm sorry.
He's out of control now. What's going on?
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Causality, cause and effect. Okay, now, you didn't self-cause yourself. So cause and effect go back moment by moment, by moment by moment, till the day before you were conceived. We all know how that happened. Your parents got together. I like to keep this G-rated. So your parents got together. You didn't choose that. You didn't choose your genetics. You didn't choose how you were raised. You didn't raise yourself because it takes money to be raised. So you couldn't have a job, okay? It's for like 10, 12 years. You didn't choose the country. You didn't choose your religion. You didn't choose the culture. You didn't choose anything. Everything is a genetic predisposition. They should talk about this more when it comes... can I go off topic just for a sec? This big deal about this guy in the NBA announcing that he's gay, this whole thing with homosexual athletes. The real subject is free will, not if someone's gay or not. Why should you hate somebody for... I can't take credit for being heterosexual the way he... The real thing they should discuss on ESPN or whatever is free will, not if someone's... he is who he is.
And with gayness, there's sometimes this controversy of whether it's a choice or not. You want to know something?
It's a choice, but it's not a free choice.
It's actually, no, it's both. I think
Both?
Because you know what happens?
Nothing's a free choice.
No, I'll tell you why. It's not a free choice, but some people, I think, are born genetically gay, right? They're just born gay. Other people, like, you learn this from, like, studying in prison, especially with women. A lot of, like, straight women will go to prison, and because, like, that's such a very difficult place to be, they will become gay, you know, they seek that intimacy from it. In other words, they choose to. So in other words, this question of whether gayness is chosen or something you're born with, it's both. But either way, if these women in
when you
prison
say chosen, you mean the verb, not the noun.
I mean.
They had no choice, but they chose.
Yeah,
it wasn't a free choice.
Exactly, and it wasn't even a choice because what happens is, like, we're explaining how everything has a cause, and the causal chain to everything means that what we do is the direct result of stuff that happened before we were born. So,
but then again, a lot of women commit crimes and end up in a women's prison and don't become gay.
No, I know. So it's a different causal
history. I say, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, that everything, and I'm glad I got the camera now. I finally understand how this works. Everything is a genetic predisposition. Everything, because that means it's your genetics interacting with your conditioning/environment. Again, very slowly. Everything has a cause, and should I say everything has a genetic predisposition?
Yeah.
Okay. Everything is causal or random. Since neither of us believe in random, everything is causal.
Right. All right. And I'm just going to rephrase what you said just, briefly. Okay, so basically, if everything has a cause, every one of our decisions has a cause, right? And then there's a cause to that cause and a cause to that cause. And this chain, let me finish, come on. This chain of cause and effect stretches back to before we were born.
That's right.
So, like, if you have stuff happening before we're born, determining what we're choosing in the present, obviously it's not up to us.
Cause means, what is, I know these people like to yell at me and say, what does cause mean? But
we got to get on the show.
Okay, a synonym for cause, could it be explanation, reason, justification?
A cause is simply that, like, if something didn't happen before whatever happened, whatever happened,
everything you do, there's a reason.
Yes, it's a reason.
That might make it easier for people. There's a
reason. But then some people say, well, sometimes I do something without a reason. So, like, the reason has different meanings. I know. In other words, it could be unconscious. It could be like, like instinct, like do something unconsciously. Sometimes we do that. So people say, well, that doesn't have a reason. So, like, when we say reason,
if it didn't have a reason, like I said in the last show, if I took a car, drove to Central Park, stood on my roof naked singing Christina Aguilera songs, and you came up to me and say, Enel, what the hell are you doing? And you said, why are you doing that? And I said, I don't know. That's not free will either, if it didn't have a cause.
We all make mistakes.
That's random.
One of the mistakes we make is, like, we keep on talking about this stuff, and we only have 9 minutes left of the show. And so these mistakes are unavoidable. This is a perfect example. We're making a mistake right here. All right, now here's the thing. Now, we want to forgive ourselves. When we make mistakes, we want to forgive ourselves, right? Because again, they're not up to us, but sometimes that's, like, not always easy, because we got this conscience, we got this superego in Freudian language. It doesn't allow us to do this. So what do? We experience this emotion, this feeling called guilt. That is like, guilt is like, well, I did something and it was wrong, and it was up to me, and so, like, guilt is like an emotion of punishment, and it's not like conscience. In other words, conscience tells you, I did something wrong. Conscience is about knowing right from wrong. Guilt is about blaming yourself for it and feeling bad, the pain of guilt for it.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
For example, not being a good enough parent, you can feel guilty. Mm-hmm. Not being successful enough. Having killed a soldier or civilian in war, you can feel guilty about that. Not having pursued one's dream. Go ahead.
Yes. All right, so now these are like, let's go through them.
Guilt can last decades, you wrote here.
Let's go into them in a little more detail. We got time.
Yeah, sure, we got 8
What
minutes.
happens, so a lot of times, our kids, grow up to be delinquent or grow up to not go to college if we wanted to go to college or whatever. Just they don't, sometimes they don't grow the way we want them to. A lot of parents blame themselves, what did I do wrong and stuff like that. And they probably did a lot wrong. It's not, we're not saying the parents are perfect, but then they'll feel really bad about it. So, like, if you're a parent, you did something wrong, for your kids, fine, try to correct them and stuff, but don't blame yourself, because that only makes things worse. You did the best you could. about not being successful enough. A lot of us, think that we should have been more successful. It's not up to us. We're like doing something. It's probably the most successful thing that's ever been done because this is the biggest thing, But like we can't take credit for it. If it was like a bad thing, we wouldn't feel guilty, whatever. A lot of this stuff can last for decades. Like let's say you're a soldier in Desert Storm or in World War II or the Vietnam War or something. And let's say you kill people. Let's say not only you kill soldiers, you kill civilians. You bomb a village or something, and it's really sick. And you're holding this like for decades, which
there still should be guilt even in a no free will society, but not severe guilt. You need to have guilt so you know not to do that the next time.
Well, that's why I'm making a distinction between conscience and guilt. In other words, conscience tells us what's right and wrong.
I shouldn't have done that. I'll fix it for the next time, but I'm not going to blame myself
exactly.
and go to rotten hell for eternity.
Exactly.
Because according to my causal history, my causal chain, I had to do it.
Right.
I could not have done otherwise. And if I could have done otherwise, I would have.
Exactly. So can you imagine a soldier, a veteran from one of these wars?
Yeah, I can easily imagine
30,
this.
40 years later, still feeling really horrible about this stuff. I mean, it's horrible that it had to happen, certainly. Nobody can deny that. But when the person is blaming themselves, and really guilt is punishment, it's self-punishment, where they're doing that for 20, 30 years and they can't let it go. Imagine one of these veterans suddenly discovering our show, discovering an article refuting free will. All of a sudden it's absolution. They don't have to feel this horrible guilt anymore.
It manifests itself in self-talk. When someone's talking to themselves and how you talk to yourself, you say, "You're such an idiot. How could you have done that? Don't you know? How could you set off that landmine and kill that civilian family? You deserve to." This is you talking to yourself.
Yeah.
That's terrible because that all implies free will that you should have known otherwise. You did the best you could at the time.
Exactly, and that's the thing. It's like
calling yourself bad names should really not. It should be, listen, I would prefer to do otherwise, but I couldn't have. It's okay. I'm responsible here, but I'm not to blame. I would have blameless responsibility, and I'm going to fix it the next time. My conscience doesn't like it, but I'll fix it for next time. Don't worry. I've learned. My causal history is now coming in tune with my hedonic imperative, and I'm going to feel better the next time.
Right, and now
make a note.
Here's the thing. All right, so like in our personal lives, let me tell you something. I understand that free will is impossible. It's much easier to understand it than to live your life moment by it. In other words, I do stuff that I know is wrong, and I'll feel guilty about it, even though I don't want to. Even though, what I'm saying, I've been so conditioned with this insanity of free will that's not coming from me, it's coming from the rest of the world now, that it's hard to overcome this. So what we're talking about may not necessarily play out, this year or in 5 years and stuff, but certainly I would think by the next generation, they've understood this well enough so that they're really putting it into practice. And so then, there's enough pain in the world, right? We don't need the pain of, self-afflicted pain, right? So, to the extent we can overcome this, people's lives are going to be much, much better. Okay. So, again, let's just review the major points, because a lot of people would think that, to get rid of guilt is to get rid of morality. That we're not saying that. You do something wrong, you feel a sense of regret. You can feel bad if you want, that it happened. You did something wrong. You feel bad that the universe made you do something that was wrong, something hurtful. So you hurt a friend. You hurt somebody who's very close to you, a family member, right?
But you see, everything's cause and effect. So the cause becomes then the effect, and that effect becomes the cause for the next action. Every effect becomes a cause.
Yeah.
So if you do something and the effect is you feel badly about it, that's the cause for the next time.
Excellent point.
Thank you.
But let's say you do something, you recognize it's wrong, but you know that you don't have a free will, so you don't necessarily feel badly about it, about your having done it. You feel bad that it happened, but even just coming to realize that it's wrong, that's another conditioning agent. In other words, that prevents us from having to feel bad that we did wrong. Just knowing is enough. But we got about 3 minutes. Let's go back to this, because I think we've dealt with this enough. I think you get it. But some people will say, all right, you're trying to tell us that determinism, causality, the thing that everything has a cause, makes free will impossible. But
that's exactly what we're saying.
Right, but But, some people say, well, you want to know something? Quantum mechanics, it doesn't, but some people just don't know any better.
Oh, God, here we go.
Some people say, well, at the quantum subatomic level, things happen that are not caused. Some people will try to say that. These are like PhDs. How do they do that? So anyway, explain to our audience, Enel, why if certain things don't have a cause, that's not going to help free will.
If quantum indeterminacy was true at the higher, first of all, subatomic levels, I think it is true, but as the neurons and things get bigger, it's all wiped out anyway as things get bigger. It's only true in the super...
It's not even true. What do you
No, but even if it were true, it's not true for human beings on a macro level.
Okay, whatever.
But even if it were true and I did things quantum indeterminately, I couldn't take credit or I couldn't be punished or get credit reward for anything because I didn't... It's random.
Think about it, yes.
If I quantumly indeterminately attack someone on the street tomorrow, and I had quantum indeterminate disorder, and I just started doing things without that made it, well, how am I going to be held responsible? I mean, pragmatically, I'll be a danger to society. But my lawyer would argue that he has quantum indeterminacy neuron disorder. So
exactly.
The synapses just fire off randomly.
What my guest,
so I'm not in control.
Exactly. What my guest,
free will means you have intent that you can put. Your intention can happen.
And also, again, free will requires a cause. Free will requires that our will caused our decision, our thoughts and stuff. So here, you try to refute causality, the only thing you can come up with is that it's not caused. So if our decisions aren't caused, they can't be caused by us. Some people will say, well, our decisions are self-caused, okay? Again, same thing. If the decisions are causing themselves, they're not being caused by us or our will. So again...
If you're self-caused, then every next moment would look exactly 50-50. You would have no preferences. Because if everything's self-caused and you're starting a new causal chain every moment, what are you basing your decision on?
I hear you. We got 30 seconds.
Right,
listen, ahead. I hope you understand, first, why free will is impossible.
And second, if you hate us, there's a cause to that.
Second, why,
Fear us,
free
don't
will
hate us.
Creates guilt.
I was born this way.
If you feel guilty about not getting this, the point is don't feel guilty, okay? You don't get this, don't blame yourself, because the only reason you're not getting it is because the universe doesn't allow you to get it. But you'll get it if that's what I'm saying. It's not about,